where we screw up.
Fail forward.
And sometimes you get a pink slip, and then other times they slip you the pink.
Did you guys know that HR means hard as a rock? My boss told me that.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Rad.
Yeah, and today we're talking about bosses. This is our first video bonus podcast. If you want to vote on what we talk about on this on these episodes, they come out every month. You can go on our Instagram and we'll have polls.
That's right.
Yeah, and then this time they voted on bosses. So we're talking about who's the boss, baby boss.
That's right. Boss bitches.
Boss bitches.
Girl bosses.
Girl
bosses.
bossing. Absolutely.
Yes.
Gaslighting, gatekeeping, and girl bossing.
That's right.
Yeah. Is that still a thing? Do people still say that?
I don't think
They say
so.
gaslighting a lot still.
Oh, yeah.
I swear people don't know what that means.
No, I know when that gaslight blink. That can only mean one thing. It means I need to get gas. I got gas today.
I got gas today too. Beans. Yeah.
It's a video podcast. I gotta make a fart sound at least one time.
Well, they can hear you on the, but now they can see
that it's not my butt. That's.
They were worried it was.
That's
yeah.
right.
It's
I was worried.
There's a pullback behind the curtain. So tell me,
beef.
Are you your beef
Curtain. Sorry.
Oh, of course, pulling back the beef curtain.
We're moving.
I think that was probably one of our openers before, pulling back the beef curtain.
It's my opener.
It should be.
That's for sure.
And for my first trick,
I'll
open my beef curtains.
It's me.
Yeah, speaking of, thinking about bosses, obviously past.
Should we do best boss, worst boss?
Yeah, we could do that.
Nice. That sounds good.
Best boss.
Oh, best boss? Honestly, I feel like it's kind of my boss right now. And I'm not just saying that because they're my boss right now.
Because they might see it.
I do have a great boss. I feel really lucky.
Yeah.
She's like super laid back and she really advocates for
Are you
like,
up for
all
promotion
of us.
or what's the?
I mean, hopefully, I guess.
You were before, but now you are.
Yes. I hope so.
Well, that's
But you know,
lovely.
she's great. She
good.
does what I want in a boss, where she does not micromanage at all.
Huge.
And she answers emails really fast.
Okay.
She advocates for us as a department to our management, which I also like the management too. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I kind of hit the jackpot. You'll hear soon. I have had some bad bosses. So,
I mean,
what is your best boss?
I think that's people's primary boss most of them have been bad. Yeah. I would say that, probably 60 to 75% of my bosses have been bad, with like another subsect of 20 to 25% of them being some of the worst people I've ever met.
Yes, being illegally bad. Being like, call
just
hard
being
as a rock,
illegal.
because you've got to report
Just
them.
doing illegal things.
Exactly.
Actually illegal,
yes. Or asking you to do illegal things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because we both worked in restaurants, so I'm assuming that you're referring to working in restaurants, of course.
100%.
By restaurant people, I see you, I feel you, my heart goes out to you.
Good luck out there.
I also used to be a restaurant boss, so I also know I was middle management, and I also know that's wild, and I was wild.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I wasn't given any power, like really, so I had to kind of like make my own, which made me look like a tyrannical bitch.
I feel like there's a special place in hell, and it's called being a middle manager. It's not for middle managers. It's the worst.
Yeah, it really feels, the weird part that I liked.
I'm sure certain people it's their bread and butter, but
right, and there were aspects of that I loved, but it also feels like the least creative, weirdly, because
100%.
It feels like when you're a peon or whatever, it's like your creativity doesn't even really matter. Like.
Right, you can kind of play around. You don't have the responsibility, the structure.
You just recognize that immediately. And then when you're like upper management, your creativity is a huge asset and like influences everything that gets done all the time.
Right.
And I mean,
it's necessary.
Yeah. And the company I worked for, they were good at like implementing ideas and stuff, but it was still definitely like just by definition, middle management is sort of just like, we don't want you to think about changing things. We want you to just like make sure nobody burns the place down. And if they do, call us.
Absolutely, and then we'll
deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so my best. We're talking best. Mm-hmm. We're talking best. Boss.
I thought this would be a quicker conversation than once we get into the.
Well, you know me. I just started talking.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know. At the same restaurant, I had some really fucking good bosses.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Like
good
a lot of
bosses?
them.
Good.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I never got Slip the Pink, unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah. Or the
I got
Stink.
real close.
Yeah. Did you?
Real.
Did I fuck? I did fuck one of my bosses.
Oh.
Not while he was my boss.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, well.
Prior to, okay. Well, do you know the story? I may have not told this on the podcast before.
Ooh.
I slept with somebody. Fast forward 2 years, and I go in for this job interview, and guess who I see interviewing me? It's him.
Interviewing you.
Interviewing me for the job. And
he had already been your boss?
No. So we slept together like separately 2 years ago, and then I stopped talking to him because I had a very good reason to. Let's just put it that way, to stop talking to him. And so then I just kind of like forgot, whatever, just sort of out of sight, out of mind thing. And then I just go in and I'm like, I'm already not confident at all, right? And then the first thing you see is the person who texted you so many times, sent you so many Facebook messages, was like, please give me another chance, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, oh no. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this job. 15 minutes later, it's the longest job I've ever had. Worked there like 10 years.
And you guys never slept together again?
No, but there was definite...
Tension?
I don't know necessarily on my part.
Good tension or bad?
Well, so I am kind of oblivious to being hit on, but he did make it really obvious once. But everyone was telling me, they're like, yeah, he like follows you around all the time and like cleans your tables for you and all this other stuff. And I was like, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. But I was also working at this cocktail place at the time, and the owner and one of my friends and then him all came to like visit me at the cocktail place. He was very, very drunk. And we were outside smoking a cigarette, and he goes, you want to come back to my place and we can do a puzzle? I'm like, that's a 2-piece puzzle.
Yes, it is. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was like, what do you take me for? Yeah. But I do love that. It feels
that's
very,
cute.
It's very,
It's gotta be cathartic in the end that it ended that way. That it ended with him being like, come back with me, and you being like, no, I'm good. Or unless you...
I think if I was drunk, I probably would have. And maybe, I don't know, maybe if he wasn't, I would have actually. I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I really felt though like the job was too new for me to, and I really liked it, so I didn't want to like
take
myself.
that risk. Yeah, I made an agreement a couple years back that I would. Oh shoot, this is fun. I'm remembering things as we're talking. I made a deal with myself, 2019, that I would never date a coworker again.
Now, why would you do such a thing?
Why would I make that agreement to myself?
Yeah.
Or why would I date a coworker?
Honestly, both.
Both, yeah.
Because dating coworker, that's not it. That's not it. That's a heteronormative thing to me. Because I don't think, I feel like queer people, they're not interested in that.
Well,
at all.
To round out the conversation, it might have been a female.
Yeah.
But she wasn't gay, so...
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, no harm, no foul there then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'm making a sweeping generalization. I'm trying to think though about if there were any guys that I was like, oh, yeah, he wasn't gay either. Christ. Anyway.
Not surprised. Yes. Yeah. Good times.
I want to be compassionate for that person, but boy, does he make it hard. Do you know what I mean? No, difficult.
No. Difficult, yes, a challenge.
Younger me does not make me hard anymore.
What? Oh.
That's a weird thing to say.
I think it's
I mean, like, post 18.
Yeah, I was picturing like a 19.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, he doesn't. No, absolutely not. Who the fuck? Ugh. Anyway, so, but a lot of people were really into it. Yeah, you should see some pictures. They're fucking crazy. Have you ever seen a picture of me when I was 19?
I think I have, and you were thin.
Rail thin. Like, I was like 115 pounds and the same height that I am right now. Like, not even kidding. And then also, eyebrows done, hair buzzed, lips cherry pink, skin tan. Like,
what?
It was a disaster.
You're describing a totally different person. I know. You really are.
Well, you know when
Clean shaven?
Yeah. When I came out as gay, I thought you had to act a certain way.
Right. Yeah.
And then eventually, I was just like,
that makes sense.
Oh, I don't want to do any of this.
Yeah.
And then I just kept what I liked, and I got rid of what I didn't. You know, like
that's perfect.
Showering regularly, and I was like,
unnecessary.
That's for those gay people.
Exactly.
I'm this gay person.
Absolutely.
It was like, you gotta like a little bit of funk.
It's for the clean gays.
Uptown funk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Downtown.
That makes it sound like I'm smelly. I was smelly.
I'm right here next to him. He smells great.
But we'll get to that.
Well, he smells neutral. You don't smell like anything.
Yeah. I like neutral. Okay, so let's talk about bad
bosses.
Yeah.
I think I have like 3.
Okay.
I'm going to say the first one because we've already touched on it a little bit, and I touched on it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The boss I had a coworker that I dated, and then they became. Then I told them this isn't going to work out, and then they became my boss. Like the next week, and it was the worst experience. I was like, this is awkward, and then I cried in their office over something personal. And the look, I'll never forget the look they gave me. That was so, you are the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. It was like the coldest response. I do not blame them at all. I get it.
That's a tough sort of like.
Because I didn't know how to handle it. I was just like, this hurts, man. I know that you want more than I'm willing to give. And it was vice versa. I wanted the same thing. I wanted more than she was willing to provide for me too, and the relationship just wasn't going to work.
Right.
And I made that clear, and then she got promoted, which is great. But not so great for me, because pretty much everything I did had to go through her at that point, and I had to get her approval for everything.
I was going to say, that's a choose your own adventure where I'd probably go back.
So she got me written up, like a couple weeks later, and then
for what?
For being too emotional at work. And then it was funny because in the meeting,
you cannot write people up for that.
Well, that was what happened. So what happened is I got sat down for a meeting. I'm actually surprised I'm talking about this because I'm pretty sensitive about it still. But I got sat down for a meeting, and it was her, and 2 other coworkers, another boss and another coworker. And when I said, I actually, instead of being written up, I would like to go ahead and resign. Because it was the first time I'd ever been written up. I'd worked there for 10 years. Perfect reviews, or whatever they call them in jobs. Mm-hmm. Then I said, no, I think I want to quit. And it was actually really, I had planned to quit for a long time. It was the perfect opportunity. I was like, this is a great sign. And so when I said I wanted to quit, the other coworker of the 4 of us that were in that room, started crying. Did they get written up? Nope. They did not get written up that I know of. I was gone after that. But and I looked at her and I tried so hard not to sound passive aggressive, but I was like, "Sweetheart, you can't be crying at work. You know that. You wrote me up for this." Because she was part of it too. They together had written me up. Also, my dad had cancer then, and I was in and out of the hospital a lot. He was living with me at the time, and he's still an alcoholic. It was a very stressful time in my life.
Oh my God.
And it was just,
and they wrote you up for that?
Yeah. It was hard going to work at all then.
Yeah.
I ended up taking FMLA leave, which was the best decision of my life. Mm-hmm. And my boss's boss, who was actually pretty cool, helped me do the FMLA and everything leading up to that. But then I had run out of time. I couldn't take any more FMLA leave. Right. I had to come back to work. I wasn't ready to come back to work, but I didn't have any options. I was going to lose my job if I didn't come back to work. Yeah. So I came back to work before I was ready. I was emotional at work, got written up, and then quit. It was a crazy way to end a 10-year relationship with a job.
That's gross.
I really love that place too, but like life is what it is. I've gone back and visited a few times, and I still get along with a lot of the coworkers.
I gotta say, that is like, that's the big scam of it all, is that
and then no one's ever gonna know any of the backstory, really. I mean, if you guys watch this video, I suppose, but no one's ever gonna know what kind of went on, which is kind of hard for me because I feel like I just kind of look bad walking away from it. I don't look much better if you know the whole story, but...
Wait, why do you think that you look bad at all in any of this?
I don't know, I guess getting written up and then quitting, and if people don't know what
the
circumstances are.
That is so... No. I understand if, like, are you talking about, like, your coworkers and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, did anybody know what the circumstances were? You didn't really tell anybody?
No, that was part of it. Yeah. I don't want to, and even now, I'm a little nervous even about talking about it now, but it's been years and years and years.
Yeah, also, like, I feel like the context actually justifies it so much that, like, you would have been warranted in telling people if you had felt comfortable to do so. Like, I think that's completely fine.
I get very sensitive because of where I'm from about the culture.
Yeah,
and
that's unfortunate.
Homosexuality is not as acceptable there.
Well, but you didn't have to say any of that part, though, I guess is my point. Like, you could have just said that you could have cut out the whole first half of it and just been like, I got written up for being too emotional. This is what was going on in my life.
Yes.
And I was like, I was ready to go.
It's so funny. It was so hard for me to tell people about my dad. And it's so similar to how I treat myself. It's so hard for me to tell people when I am sick in some way, whether that's depression or physical sickness, because I blame myself immediately. And then so that's how I felt about my dad for the longest time. I don't feel like that anymore.
Right.
I love him and accept him. He is an alcoholic. But I thought if I were to tell people my dad's really sick, then they wouldn't accept that as any kind of an excuse or anything because it's mostly self-administered. Or it could be, but that's true of everything. Now I understand, but that's true of everything. We're all doing the best with what we have.
I also think it's like people are going to think whatever they're going to think regardless. So, like, if that's their view on it, if they're like, oh, I can't have empathy or like for this because I think it's self-administered, like,
then
that's your baggage. That's your baggage.
Absolutely. He's got some wonderful qualities.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change him. I mean, it's like I want him to be healthier, of course, but
I still think that is like, I mean, if you're looking at it face value, what you're saying is that even if that were the reason, what people would be saying is that, like, your dad is sick and people would be like, who gives a shit? That's, like, basically what you were concerned about.
And that's what I believed.
But, like, I think the majority of people would not respond that way.
No, probably not.
No.
And it was so hard for me to vocalize it in any way then without crying anyway.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It was so close.
And you want to get written up by your friends after you had just quit.
Exactly. And the thing is that we were friends. Like, the three of us that were in that meeting, other than my boss, like major overhead assistant director boss, we would, like, hang out and smoke weed together. Like, we would do all of these things, like, and have fun and get drunk and, like, party together. And then for them to just, like, switch like that.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that, like, I think this happens a lot in restaurants, but I think a lot of jobs now, let me just, like, give you all a little shortcut in life. If you see a job description that says we're like a family, run. Because I want you to think about how well-adjusted your family is and how well-adjusted in general families can be. That's how you're going to get treated sometimes.
Absolutely.
And and the shitty thing about that
is, like, transactional.
But that can be, so that's the end point, is that, like, it can be wonderful to feel like you're a part of a family just as much as it can feel, like, manipulative. But at the end of the day, you will be dropped like you are not family. Absolutely. Because it is a job.
It is a job. Yeah.
And everyone just moves on.
Unconditional about it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there is so many conditions. Yeah. It's the most conditional thing I can think of.
Right. And you can care about your time, you can care about your coworkers, but you have to understand that. That has to be, like, the foundation or whatever, of your understanding of the position you're in.
Yeah, if a job says that they're like a family, that means it's either toxic, manipulative, or both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I would run into there specifically was a lot of brown nosing and a lot of throw you under the bus and get my own credit kind of thing, which was very frustrating. Ew. And I think that comes right from the top. Our director
was like that.
Yeah, I'd say worst boss. Worst boss, and he wasn't even the one that tried to sleep with me. That I know of. See, I'm not so good at it either sometimes. But I'll get to him in a second. The one that tried to sleep with me, I worked at a steakhouse for a long time, restaurants. Mm-hmm. I had a boss who had slept with multiple of the hostesses and cooks and stuff. And I didn't not know this.
Right.
Yeah, and he would constantly like make jokes with me and with other women and stuff like that. I was a hostess at the time. I was like 19 maybe, and he was in his like late 20s, I'd say. And he asked several times if he could come over late at night, and once I said yes, and he didn't end up coming over. And that was the end of that story.
Great.
Yeah, and I remember that night I was like bummed or whatever, or confused.
Right.
But ever since then, I've been so relieved. I've been so happy on so many fronts. I feel like I would have a regret. Well, I don't have any now.
There's a power dynamic that like, and I think that was probably part of the reason that I wasn't interested either, is because I'm like, it's a power dynamic that you get to manipulate, and I don't get anything.
Right.
I don't get anything out of it.
Absolutely. And I saw, I had examples all around me of hostesses and waitresses and
where that was happening.
Where it was happening already. So it's like I didn't want to fall into that suit anyway. At that time it was so hard for me not to accept that sort of validation.
Right. So okay, well we're running out of time a little bit, but I will give the cliff notes on my worst boss. The sort of circumstances surrounding it are a lot of them were really bad, but mostly this was just a very like annoying person who like did not pull their own weight, and we were working at a place where like it was sort of team service, so it was like you have to pull your own weight, otherwise it's really obvious. But then they were like, lashing out at other people, but then also not helping very much, whatever. That was sort of like the main problem that I had. I actually got along with this person,
but as personally, a boss, which is
but I was one of the only people that did. I was one of the only people that did. There was another person that did, but everyone else would like come and tell me the things that they would say to that, or she would say to them, and I'd be like, "What the fuck? She can't be saying these things, whatever, right?" So I was sort of talking to everyone. This is very my tea. I am like a bit of a leader, instigator in this regard, but I basically told everyone, I said, we're all going to write emails and we're all going to send them to the owner at the same time. Perfect. So Sunday evening, get your letters together of the things that got said, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I was the only one.
Oh my god! I was not expecting that. Oh no!
Well, either I was the only one, or one other person did, but it didn't matter.
Because that's a great plan. That would have been so effective.
It didn't matter because some people were texting me the night of, being like, "I can't. This is my only job. I don't want to get in trouble." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
My dog ate my phone.
That's right.
My dog ate my router. Yeah. No.
My email address is too sexual for me to email any of our bosses. We've all been there.
Yeah. No, I didn't really like blame anyone. I just felt so foolish. Like I personally, because I was like, oh no, am I going to get singled out in this scenario? But then I was also proud of myself. I was like, whatever, I'm the only one who did it. Like, or maybe there was one other person who did. I honestly can't remember, but I was either the only one or there was like literally one other person.
Did you feel so bad because your email address was Mr. D 696969? Okay.
Yeah, it always goes to spam, so I was like, they're not even going to see it.
That's right.
No, but it then obviously proceeded to get worse after that.
Right, but yeah, that makes sense.
The owner, when it was discussed, kept me anonymous, which was nice at least.
Thank God.
But then there was like the clincher, which was that to a bisexual person. She said that bisexuality doesn't exist, and then she started crying, and I went out there and like saw her and was like, what's going on? She told me what happened, and I said, all right, take two, y'all. We're doing this again. Like, this is gotta stop. I love you all so much. This is not appropriate, blah, blah, blah. And then, everyone was like, yeah, you're right. And we did it, and she was like, oh, which is, I mean, I feel bad, and also, again, this was a while ago, and I don't think this person knows that I don't think you behind it.
Feel bad. It sounds like maybe they had a lesson to learn. It doesn't sound like they're a terrible person, but it sounds like they had some lessons to learn, and some of them you have to learn the hard way.
I agree.
Like, don't date your coworkers.
And I don't think that they were a terrible person. I actually did sort of see the positive. I thought, in terms of like being a manager, being blunt, and in the regard where you're being, borderline sort of disrespectful, you can't live like that.
I'm sorry.
What?
It was just, at some point I just really wanted to touch the microphone in a way.
Where it was like a giant penis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
It's just right there.
That's how I use it when you're not here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike. And but it was good timing because you were like borderline disrespectful, and I was like,
you know what, Chef Mike?
Yes.
You remember do you
Chef
ever?
Mike?
Yeah, you ever hear that?
I don't think so.
Working in restaurants, they say like hit it with the Chef Mike. It's a microwave.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
The Chef Mike.
Like
if
it's not hot enough, hit it with the Chef Mike.
Yes, that's perfect.
It's not. I don't love microwave food when you're paying $15 for it, but
it's a little frustrating.
But I do think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it happens. The Chef Mike, yeah.
So yeah, that was I don't even know if that was my worst boss experience, but it was definitely the one where I was like the most involved.
Yeah.
With
that sounds
the situation.
Challenging.
Yeah, I sort of became like the go-to like person to like because I had a good relationship with her. Everyone was like coming to me to be like.
And you have an organized mind or whatever, like how you.
That and too, I was sort of like the way that it worked out was that I was sort of like second or third. I didn't have like a title, but I was like second or third in command a lot of the time. So like when they would go on vacation, like I would be in charge, or if like they weren't there, like I would be in charge or whatever. So I think that was probably part of it too, is that people just saw me as more of like a kinder authority figure. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't regret it in regards to, but I'm sure that they're different. I'm different now, or maybe they're not. I'm not sure of that. Some people do not change. Some people do not get better.
Man.
And some people don't learn. I don't know.
I know we don't have much
Bosses.
time.
We don't.
But I got the worst one yet.
Okay.
Worst boss. I'm just going to run through some of the lowlights of his career. He's a director of a public library, so none of this makes any sense. But he... Oh, yeah. He said that he needed to make me a giant pin to wear. I was a middle manager then, that said bitch. And that I should wear it every day until I start treating my coworkers like employees and not kindly. It was very confusing. He also said to another coworker, the one that I had dated, that he was going to get the lighting changed in her office because she was too pretty for the lighting to be what it is. And instead of doing the many things that he should have been doing, he made sure that light got changed. And then also... just garbage. The nepotism, the people that he hired for no reason other than somebody his, drinking buddy knew or whatever. I mean, I think he might have been sober. But...
Is that supposed to be flattering?
Oh, maybe.
The changing of the light because you're too pretty to...
He also, during our annual staff meeting, he said, he prefaced it with, I'm not supposed to do this, but...
Love that.
And then led everyone in a prayer to Jesus Christ. It's a government job. It's not even separation between government. It's like it is the state. Like it's a government entity that's paid with our taxes. I'm like, what are we doing? One time we got a bonus for Christmas and it was just ham. Did I tell you that? It was just a fucking big old piece of ham because he knew the company that made the ham. He was good friends with them, so he purchased the ham as our bonuses. Everyone got a big slice of ham. I was vegan at the time, but no worries.
That is so not it. Ham.
Yeah, I hated that
the
guy.
prayer thing is probably that's the worst to me because that's what freaks me out about the sort of like evangelicalness of even the patriotism of like some people is that they'll be like it doesn't matter what the parameters are or what your comfort level is, we're still doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and
like,
I can.
And I can.
Like, what are you going to do?
Who's going to stop me? Yeah, exactly.
Went to
HR. I hate that.
Also, he suggested that I get on he said some antidepressants. He was suggesting me like an array of antidepressants that I should try. And then he said, my wife and children couldn't stand me if I didn't take these every day. And I'm like, they can't. None of us can.
They already can.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
Also, he ranted at our reference desk in public to one of my coworkers about how his wife cheated on him, which I find very funny because I hate him. And then I'm just like, things are just coming back to me. I need to end this at some point because he's just the worst. He's no longer the director, but I think he is still alive. So if anyone wants to... I'm just kidding.
Check it. If anyone wants to, like, not do that.
No, yeah, don't. I'm not suggesting that at all. But, I mean, like egg his house. That's what I mean. Just, like, something like that. Some harmless.
Yeah, egg his soul.
Exactly. Yeah. It's already covered in yuck.
Yeah.
I was going to say yolk, but...
Yeah.
It came out. I just don't like this guy.
Yeah, that's really bad.
I'd probably give him a piece of my mind if I ran into him in my small town.
I don't think it would be worth it.
It wouldn't be, but, I mean... Maybe I just flip him off or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah.
And maybe something that is like more like personal.
Yeah.
But you don't want to interact. You're not going to change their...
Also, he's a good old boy.
Like, that's his
police
personality.
are on his side,
Yeah,
I'm sure. The company's on his side because he knows all the government people. They don't like him, but they understand that he has power.
Exactly.
As like a straight white man in this state. Also, I went to HR about him. And she was like, and I told them about a lot of this stuff.
She said, have you tried Xanax?
She said, is it okay if I pray for you?
Oh, yeah. I remember you told me that. Yeah.
And I was like,
so
sure.
gross.
And she was like, can we pray together now?
Can you do something else?
All right. Can you do your job?
Yeah.
Can
I'm going to pray for you to do your job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not hard as a rock.
I hate that. No, soft as a...
Clam.
Yeah.
It's the inside of a clam.
Yeah.
Moister than an oyster.
Not the oyster. All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.
Also listening to Script Podcast.
Viewers.
Check out our Instagram where we have the monthly polls so that you can be a part of this. Emma really wants. She went up on this.
That's right.
She's like uppies. Don't forget to. Huh?
I just want to be in the center.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Get the mic. Get that mic out of my way.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe for more hot tits.
Yeah. Screw up these two.
We'll be back with video next month in February. So at the beginning of February, that's when you're going to want to check Instagram. But also head to wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can, or if you're already listening to this, where that is, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. You can send us your own screw-ups at screwupthepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and be your own boss.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay.
The end.